welcome.
Welcome, mere mortals.
Episode 105. Just checking that my mic is on. It is indeed, and you are hearing me not live, but in charge.
Ooh,
yes. We are back with a bit of musings.
Yeah.
A little bit of a discussion on the week that was, the learnings.
I've got some good learnings this
week.
You
do? Oh, take it away with the mere mortal moment.
I will.
Let's do it.
All right. This is, I've got so many here. This one's just a reiteration. When I gazed long into the abyss gazed into me, and I laughed.
Yep.
I felt that was we both sort of recognized in the moment that was like,
a good one.
That's a good one. So I wanted that capturing into a picture form to be actually be able to put onto our Instagram. So there it is. If you want to see that, go back to it's bad episode whatever. Go through the last 20 episodes and it's in there. It's
in there somewhere. Okay, yeah, I do like that. I said it again. That became one of my maxims. Not the full part of it, but when the abyss stares back at you, laugh. That was my maxim. So that's one of the best responses you can do. Mine is, why can't we just shut up and listen? Why as humans can't we just shut up and listen? I think it's born of a couple of things at work. I'm definitely not excluded of this. Sometimes I just don't shut up when I should shut up and just listen to people, even if I know what the solution is or the next steps. Sometimes it's better to let other people talk, garner their information, and then present it back, even if I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But just generally, I think humans or us mere mortals are always stuck in the mentality of having conversations with people, but not truly listening to the other person. Almost thinking 3 steps ahead of, okay, this is what I'm going to say next. This is my next step. This is my next stage of the conversation. And not really taking what you're talking to that other person about and what you should be replying to.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Shut up and listen.
Yeah, that's a good lead into one of my learnings from this week.
All right, tell me.
So 2 learnings, I suppose, combined into one thing. Last night, I went out and met up with a friend of mine, and I got invited to a friend of hers place for dinner. And that exactly happened on the way there. She was talking a lot about this bitch Tina. She works with fucking Tina.
You just know it, Tina.
It's just, if your name's Tina, you might as well just throw yourself off a bridge, really. Because everyone hates you. You're annoying.
It's an unfortunate name. It's an unfortunate name.
But, I personally had no interest in this conversation. You know, it's about some lady I don't even work with, and they're just talking about her. But it was I recognized the need for them to vent, which was what she was doing. And going to a friend's place and they were talking about this girl Tina at work. And okay, I understand this. Like, even though it has nothing to do with me, and I would have rather changed the topic, I was like, no, I'm going to shut up and listen, because this is like, sort of 2 women. They want to talk about this. They invited me to their place. I'm going to partake in it. And, it only lasts for 10 minutes. So I could have, been rude and sort of changed the conversation, or
pre the 10 minutes.
Said, oh, no, I don't want, like, can we talk about something different? Blah, blah, blah. But no, I listened, and it's like, okay, I sort of understand where they're getting from. And now, there's some good jokes from it about Tina and how she's a bitch.
Exactly.
The other one, and this leads into my other learning, which was about where I'm spending my time and how I'm spending it. And it's the age-old one. We talk about it lots, and we still don't learn all the time. So for me, we had 2 big nights in a row. Number one no. I did.
We had one. We had a big night.
We had one.
And then Kyrin followed it up with a second big night.
I followed it up with a second. And there's numerous learnings from all of this, but the main one was, the funny one is, you say things and life will come around and spit right in your face and show you just how much of an idiot you are. So you have permission, everyone out there, to call me Frank.
Yeah,
I was making fun of Frank in the latest meanderings.
For napping.
And not only did I take 1 nap today, I took 2 naps, because I was so absolutely...
He's gone below the mere mortal level.
That's substandard. That is a despicable human being level. So I took 2 naps. You can call me Frank. You can call me Frank Jr. You can call me old man, whatever you want to call me. I took 2 naps and I had splitting headaches, red wine, tends to do that. The main one though was, I had two very similar experiences, which was one was I had some friends around.
Yep.
Then we went out and we went to some bars. We sort of bar hopped for a little bit and, we were chatting and whatnot. And then we came back home at 2 a.m.
Yep.
Another experience where I went out, went to my friend's place, spoke some Spanish with her, went to her friend's place, had a bunch of bottles of red wine and just talked the whole night though. And we stayed in her place and then same thing. I ended up coming home at 2 a.m.
Yep.
And just the differences between those two experiences, very similar, but one was, I would say it should have been more fun because I was with, my friends, with you and, some high school friends who I'm dear friends with. Like I love hanging out with them. But I felt that night was mostly wasted. And that was just because we were actually going out. When I thought about what was like the best moments of that night, it was in the Uber drive, yelling out "Pabu" and talking shit in the Uber. And just before we left, some of the stories we had, and we're just joking and laughing. And when we're out, it's okay, but okay is not good enough anymore for me. I want if I'm using my time, if I'm spending,
It's got to be used wisely.
and and that was what time did we go out? 8, maybe 9ish, 10, and didn't come back until 1 something. So that was like a good 3 hours at least. Where I wasn't using it as optimally as possible. And I think in the future, I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to go out. I'm going to stay here. You guys feel free to come around, drink around here and do that. And then, comparing that to the next night where I did go out and I was, with some people who I wouldn't say like are my best friends. I hadn't seen this work lady I used to work with for like 4+ years. That was the first time I saw her in 4+ years.
In ages,
And I just had real fun. And it's like, you'd think it wouldn't be the typical experience. I was 10 years younger than at least 10 years younger than both of them. And you just think like, oh, okay, what are you doing? Like hanging out in this random apartment, eating keto lasagna and drinking red wine. But it was really, really fun. So, I want to spend my time, and that just cemented in my head, like, you don't have fun while going out, Kyrin. Like it's just not naturally something you're thriving to do. Like, yes, this is what I want to do. So, as a moment to myself, or learning to myself, I need to be more strict. And even though that's going to be a little bit annoying because I know, I might potentially be affecting your guys' plans because you'll be all like, let's go out. And then
not one bit,
like,
we'll still go out.
Yeah, Kyrin's like, no,
I don't want to. Kyrin's going to get deserted.
That's something I have to accept as well. And,
exactly. Yeah.
And I think just looking back at the amount of time, the amount of sort of, uneasiness, queasiness, how I felt during this weekend, very suboptimal in terms of editing videos and getting shit done. So that was my main learning from the week.
Good.
You know what you want to do, where your time should be invested. So now actually put it into place and sort of make...
Got to put where your mouth is and actually do it.
Not hard decisions, but also not, potentially not popular decisions or not the, the most, it's just that sort of interaction with friends. Just because you were doing something, going roller skating for 5 years with someone, and then you're like, okay, this is okay, but
I'm going to go and do something else with my time.
And it was like when we were kicking the ball around at the park, I was doing that for you mostly. Like I wasn't personally getting that much benefit from it. And I paid the price for that by, busting my finger and whatnot. So that was sort of like life telling me, you shouldn't be doing this kind
Listen to the things you want to do. Yeah. Maybe this weekend was a little bit of a sign again for you to say, hey, are you actually using the time what you should be doing?
Dude, if you're napping twice in a weekend and you don't take some learnings from that, you're an idiot.
It's a true sign.
You're a true double Frank.
Here's an interesting learning that I want to get. It's a quick question to you. Mostly about, the year that's been, you read a lot of books. But I'm not totally interested in all the books. I'm interested in the classical books that you read. The classics, the over 100 years, in time frames and the like. Did you find them all the way cracked up to be?
No. A lot of them, no. And I should go through that list at some point and pick out like the best 5, and I might even do a bonus episode on that, like the 5 things I've learned, or 5 best books from this year. A lot of them, no, like just because they're
classics.
A classic, and you would assume that time would filter out some of it. Look, there's good things in it. I'm just going to pick on one of them, the Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. It's just so hard to read. It's so hard to read, and I can see why it's a classic, because it has these sort of, at the time, revolutionary ideas. Well, not revolutionary, but very coherent, succinct new ways of thinking. But also, like, it just does not translate into modern times. And there's a bunch of them as well. And, it depends on my taste as well. Some of the fictional books, Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence.
You did not enjoy that.
That was just trash for me. That was trash. Another one, though, I don't have it on the table. It's just up there. Edith Wharton's The Age of Innocence, though, is I did really enjoy. It sort of had a little bit of a Great Gatsby feel, but I found it more entertaining. So out of all of them, though, like, none of them immediately jump out to me as, wow, this was the best book I read. For me, it was Man's Search for Meaning, which is also just up there. That stood out as like, damn, this is a real good book. Mark Twain's Life on the Mississippi as well. Very, very good book, which that one is 100 years. But that was based on him as a person, not particularly on his writings.
Right.
In a sense, like I really like him as a person, and that came across in this writing.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Have you actually read many classical books, do you think?
I don't think I have. And that's why I guess it was more the question on, for me, why are classics deemed classics? And I think it might be something to do with, there's maybe a line or two or a couple of themes that people can pull out of those books and go, oh, it's great. And then it conflates with the fact that, they've been done 100 years ago plus. When it's like, oh, well, it was a long time ago and it's a classic and definitely a must-have. But the little snippet that's valuable in there might be 0.5% of the entire book, and then the rest is either really hard to read or whatever it may be.
Just outdated. Gulliver's Travels is a really good one on that. He's making, it's satire. He's making fun of these political people, like this political system. I think it was like the Whigs and the Tories or the whoever it was. Just so out of date that it doesn't even make sense anymore to be reading. You have no idea what's happening, like why this should be funny. So things like that. That one sort of held up the test of time because it's got other ideas on it.
And the other things in my mind I was trying to think of was like Marcus Aurelius's Meditation. So a lot of people look back at that one thinking, oh, it's got a lot of really good content, but I know that, as you've mentioned, that book's hard to read. It's a hard book to read.
And for every amazing quote in it, there's 5 bland ones.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of have to sift through what's there to find the really good stuff. And that's why it makes me think there's a little bit of, for me, a misnomer that a classic is a classic, and for that it must be good. I think if you were to review that list of yours, you'd find, dang, this probably wasn't even valuable of me to go and look at these classics, but
or really seeking them out, maybe. And that was a reason as well. I was getting books just because they were classics. I didn't get Sons and Lovers because I thought, this is going to be really up my alley. This is going to be really useful. No, I got it because it was 100 years old, and I was just looking for books in the library. 100 years old. Okay, I'll get that one. It says it's a classic. Yeah. And when you think about it, what is a classic? What is it that makes it a classic? One, it could be because it was very popular in its own day. And 50 Shades of Grey was very popular, but if you read it, it's absolutely trash. It's one of the worst written books I've ever read. Yeah. So just because that one might become a classic someday, and based on its popularity, but you'd go, no, that's not a good book. Okay. Now, I'd like to remind the mere mortals here of the theory of relativity, and that is, it is all relative to the individual. So you'll also note when you look at our book reviews, you'll see rankings as well in our score. It is our score. So obviously, there's there's obviously people out there who really enjoy Sons and Lovers. Yeah. That's totally fine. What do you rank yours on? Do you rank it on terms of information gained, on the, I suppose, like how engaged you were with it? For me, my ranking is pretty much purely how much fun I had reading it. Like while I was reading it, how engaged was I? Did I find it like a little bit tedious in parts? And also, I guess the amount of wisdom, I would say.
Yeah.
That's the best way of saying it. So yeah, Men's Search for Meaning isn't fun, but
No.
goddamn, it's got a lot of wisdom in it.
Yeah, there'd be a bit of a combination. Fun, I guess I'd call it more enthralling. I guess would be
that's a good one.
There, and the wisdom that you pull out. So, Men's Search for Meaning was a high-ranking one for me because it was enthralling, and I got a lot. I'm able to tell whether I'm getting lots of wisdom from a book because on my page, which is an A5, that I write down my notes. If I fill up the whole page, okay, that's a lot of wisdom from this book.
Yeah, that's
Although I've seen some books where it wasn't that great, and there was 2 items that I put in there, and I'm going, yeah, and I'm forcing myself to read. Okay, I understand it. But some which are either enthralling or they're fun to read.
Yeah.
Even though I might not pull so much wisdom out, I go, oh, I really enjoyed this.
Yep.
So one of them, an example is Stephen Pressfield's one, The War of Art. At the very beginning, like halfway through the book, I hadn't actually made too much notes. But, and I'll describe it obviously in the book review once I get around to it, that a particular point in time where it sort of sped up and everything that was being discussed was really, really on point with what I was finding, and I got enthralled, and I almost even forgot to pull the wisdom out, and so it got to like a good point there. So that helped me out. But no, it's good. I was wondering about these classic books. Another item I wanted to bring up. So one of the learnings of something I read recently, listened to on whatever number, Tim Ferriss' podcast. He had a discussion with Ariana Huffington. Do you know who Ariana Huffington is?
I know who she is.
Yeah, of course. Yep. So have you ever heard Ariana Huffington talk?
I think maybe once. It was very sort of screechy and annoying voice.
Well, she's got a Greek voice, so I'm not sure if you have heard it.
I think I just remember being annoyed by it.
Okay. So
or reading comments saying her voice is
annoying. There you go. So she's an interesting character, and there's a lot of discussions. But she was telling a story of before she got into Cambridge, and one of the ways that her mum was helping her out to really want to get to Cambridge. And I can't remember the specifics. It was either there was some complications or there was tests or anything else that she had to get into. But I think she was the 3rd person into Cambridge, and the first like foreigner in a particular area that she was going in. So this was a while back, obviously.
Yeah.
And to incentivize her mum took her to Cambridge, and they sat down to have a coffee at Cambridge. They walked around the place like they were already at Cambridge, did all these things. And she was just mentioning, it lit a fire in her even further to, okay, I definitely want to do this. And it makes me think a little bit of, I've heard this done before, and I think I've done it a couple of times, but it's not so much the fake it till you make it. That isn't that in particular, because some people could associate to it. It's more of put yourself in the shoes of where you would already be at, just to feel and understand what it is and give you that incentive that, yes, I want to be here and doing this, as opposed to just faking it to me. Because I don't resonate with faking it till you make it, but I do resonate with put yourself in the position like you were already there.
Yep.
And then act as that.
Yeah, I think the problem with fake it till you make it is almost like the double negative in it, which is that you're faking it. It's sort of like acknowledging you're not doing something correctly, and but by doing that, it's going to work out. Whereas what you're more talking about, like that mindset, is put yourself in that person's shoes and then act like that person would act.
Yeah.
So it's more acknowledging you are actually doing it, even if you're not, 100% great at it. Even if you're really nervous when you're talking to that girl or whatever, you're still actually doing it. You're not faking it because you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
You're putting it into practice.
So,
the problem with fake it till you make it is it's just insanely catchy.
Yeah, that's true. That was something I was reading the other day where the more it rhymes as well, a particular catchphrase, well, it's a catchphrase sometimes because it rhymes, but something that rhymes is more likely to stick in your mind than something that wouldn't. Even if it's incorrect, it's just going to stick more. But where am I going to try and use this? I'm going to try and use it tomorrow. So it's Monday, right here in Brisbane. I'm going to use it tomorrow because tomorrow's my 10K run day. I've got a monthly goal that I'm going to do at least
so he's going to
4 runs, and one of them has to be a 10K. So tomorrow's going to be the 10K run. And for how I'm going to put myself in the mindset of is going to be put myself in the shoes of someone who'd already accomplished it. I'm going to watch a video of someone who'd already done it, just sort of explained it, talked through it, already gone through that process. It's a similar thing that I would do in lifting. If I go lifting and I'd understand, 200 kilograms squat, I can already visualize myself going through it and doing it. And so when you do it, it's kind of like your second going through it. It's like a second run of it.
Yeah.
You haven't actually. So because I've never actually done the run of 10Ks, my attempt is I'm going to just watch a quick video of someone who has talked through it, all these sort of things, to put myself in the mindset of, cool, that's what it would be like to do it. Cool.
Yeah.
Now go and emulate that. So we'll see.
So
I'll report back.
Juan's going to run as if he has run 10Ks. That's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Wish you success with that. Where are you going to run?
It's going to be just around that area. I've kind of mapped out an 8K loop around here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to start it off in a little bit of a different path to get those extra 2Ks and then keep on going.
Yeah.
But the plan is to do it in the morning.
Yeah.
So
nice.
We'll see. We'll see what time I've got to actually get up to do that.
So I was just talking with Tanya today. So this is coming out in 2 weeks if you're listening right now. Tanya does ultra marathons, and she was telling me about how there was one that was organized just here in Brisbane, and it was a 5K loop. And so she was saying, like, she was comparing it. She used almost the exact same words that I was saying of, like, sort of not boredom, but you're getting used to seeing the same people, seeing the same route, that I was using for like 5Ks around a soccer field. So that was a
She
good
was doing a 5K loop and getting bored with it.
Yeah, that was a good mere mortal moment there, just seeing like,
that's not a mere mortal moment. That's just a humbling moment to go, haha, dang.
Yeah.
Dang. That's cool. That's cool. You got any others for us as well?
Well, you're mentioning rhyming, and I did have something here just about... Where am I?
Well, let me add it just while you're finding it, because one of these ones rhyme. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Was my last one I was going to share. I was just going to bring it up because, we talk a little bit about goals and whatever, and you might hear us be very analytical with our things when it comes to ranking of our book reviews or the way that we analyze some of our statistics and our listeners.
Yep.
I'm going to put it down. When you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. I'm not saying to the nth degree that people should be doing this, but it has struck me through everything I've ever done to my life in terms of working, fitness, this podcast, whatever. The more you plan around it and plan contingencies to whatever level, the more you find that luck finds you. So, and the more you fail to actually plan, unless you've got some God gifts, that you can do it amazingly well. If you're 0.1% of the population that can do a particular action well, sure, you might get away with it. So it's not a hard rule that it applies to absolutely everyone. But more than likely, if you're listening to this, you're also a mere mortal. And so, don't fail to plan. Or you're planning to fail.
See, that's really interesting because, talking with Tanya, and I asked her, one of the things I always ask, which is about goal setting. Yep. And there's just like 2-3 seconds of silence. Just like, no, I don't really do that. Yeah. And I suppose the cool thing from that was, just talking with her as a person, you can just tell she's a doer. She just does things. So she goes out, like, she doesn't get caught in her head. She just goes out and does whatever. Like, okay, I'm going to buy a farm and I'm going to move out there and I'm going to learn how to
do it as I'm going.
Yeah, do that. I'm going to, crocheting. That's cool. I'm going to start spending like an hour each day on doing that. So she doesn't need that planning aspect because she sort of just tends to just do things and then learn from that.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I would have wanted to draw in a little bit there and maybe ask her, or like when she very first ever ran or something else, into how she accomplished it, if she ever planned around it or anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to dive in on those. I think it was more for her, like she just would start something and then it would sort of just snowball. So it was almost like it wasn't a conscious... Maybe it was like a subconscious planning thing. Yeah. Okay. And she did, she did mention that she did look at her run times and she would be trying to improve them, but then sort of got beyond that and it's like, okay, now I'm running for the fun of it, the joy of it.
Yeah. Okay.
And cool. She really expressed that. What I was going to say about the rhyming though was, so in Thinking Fast and Slow, he was saying how they just did like a small test on kids, college students. Yeah.
Kids to you now.
Yeah. The power of rhyming. And I think they got like a bunch of just sayings and then they would just make random ones up. So like, the classic sort of sayings and then compare that to actual just made up ones that rhymed. Yeah. And it would if you need to grab something, grab a cab or something, and it'd be like whatever, just random stuff like that. That sort of
that rhymed.
It sort of made sense, or and then they'd compared that to early bird gets the worm, for example, and they found that the students would get basically more wisdom and more benefit from the rhyming ones than the actual like time tested early bird gets the worm sort of ones.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's that book is great for reading if you want to recognize just how little control you have.
Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah, that it's just every step along the journey. Like every chapter is just a new way of, and it's just really fun because he shows you in the moment how it happens.
Yeah.
So he will show you, oh yeah, look, you write these things, these symbols in a certain way, and it just depends on the context. I can prime you by flashing something before you, and it'll be good, and then you'll see it this way, and then it'll be bad, and you'll see it this negative way or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's one of those. Let's see. We'll try it out. Let's go 2 times 2. So in your mind, just go in your mind. 2 times 2.
So I say it.
Yeah. Oh no, just have it in your mind. Have it in your mind. So 2 times 2. Now plus 4. Now plus 7. Now times it by 2. Now minus 10. All right. Now think of a color and think of a tool. Yep. Now is it red and is it a hammer?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a sort of now it's like the whole thing where that's where you can prime people, where when you can get your logical brain working, operating and moving, and then you hit someone with a question that's really quick, you'll generally tend to go to a particular default color and tool because it's just easy things to imagine.
Did you watch my thing with what's the name, Brendan? I tried that out on him as well.
How'd that go?
Yeah, well, that's why I thought of red hammer immediately.
Oh, good. Okay.
The trick. And
so no, I haven't listened to the full one.
He said blue screwdriver. So
Brendan.
Yeah, it works like half the time.
There you go. But it's a whole thing. Yeah, you're right. It's that priming thing. So I can, when you were just talking about that, I can imagine just the many ways that your brain can be so primed to you don't even think you've got. Actually, speaking of this, because we were talking a little bit about this in another
just before
discussion.
You dive in. So one of the things you can do, priming. Here's a real good example. Is like before you do that, I'll say like, okay, you're ready. I've got to make sure I'm not going to stammer. So just like ready and stammer.
Yep.
Red hammer. Sort of just that little extra push in the back.
To go.
Say red hammer.
Yeah, it's one of those ones as well where if you've seen it enough times, you'll just make up random crap just to throw people off. So you'll say purple saw. You'll be like, God, wrong.
Yeah.
Same thing with cards. You can do it the same way. But no, there was I can't remember where I've definitely listened to this. Free Will. And I actually think I was in The Fourth Age by Byron Reese. And they were talking about how there's been some proven information, not completely proven, but there was a whole discussion about free will and the fact that before you actively go and do something, your brain kind of triggers you to do something before it actually goes and occurs, to the point that, let's say you say, I don't know, pick up this book. They've done some studies, I don't know how reputable this is, to the point that when they ask someone, hey, pick up this book, before the speed that would entail like the electronic pulse to go down your nerves and actually pick up the book and start movement, your brain already fires something before that even happens. Yeah. So it's almost of a case of it's preempting this movement before you can even think to yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to go and act out this way. So
yeah. Well, they've done other tests, right, where it's just a button and you can press that button whenever you want. And the people will say, like, okay, you just need to tell us when you've made up your mind, or it'll be like 2 buttons. Which of these, you just need to make up your mind which button you're going to press. Yep. And they will be able to tell before your subjective experience of knowing, okay, I've made up my mind. Yep. So it's like, oh, I could press this button, I could press this. All right. Yep. Now decide I'm going to make up the left. I'm going to click the left. They can tell like a couple of hundredths of a second before you do that. Yeah. That you're going to like something in your brain fires and they can see that on the MRIs or whatever, CAT scans or whatever they have. And they can say, we actually know that before you yourself know it. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting, now whether that's, because you can then
go a further step back and go, well, what prompts that? Well, that's your will to go and do that. So you can get down the rabbit hole of rabbit holes with that sort of stuff.
We should do a free will sometime.
That's going to be F.
Yeah.
We get to F. Anyways, that has been Musings. It has been 105. I almost said 104 because I just cannot keep up with the numbers. They're just going. They're rolling.
Man. Too quick.
Now, if you want to keep rolling with us and check out a couple of things, I'm going to actually call out something different. So usually I'd say YouTube, Instagram. You guys know this. If you're listening to this now, you know this. That's fine. Cool. You've subscribed. You're following. You've told your mates. You've told 3 of them. You found 5 more mates. Now you have 8, and all of them are watching Me Immortal. But what I want you to go and check out is some of the book reviews, because we've noticed across the platforms that some of our most listened to episodes and I guess content that we've been putting out, I would like to see people messaging me, a DM in our Me Immortals page through Instagram, obviously, or send an email or go to the website, wherever you want to do, and comment back. I want to know why it's being watched so much. If you've gone back and watched one and go and do that now, what do you enjoy about them? I want to find out that info. So I'd love to hear that back.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'd also say that we're getting a lot more consistent with our guests, and I think even the quality of our ability to have conversations. So that's I think both of those are improving as well. So keep watching out for Saturdays, and sometimes Thursdays for sort of like bonus ones. I think those are improving as well.
Good. All right, folks, that's Me Immortals. 1 out.
Kyrin out.